So I think about it this way. Accelerated biweekly is I remember when I got paid every 2 weeks, there's 2 months in every year where I would get 3 paychecks, right? So then there'd be 2 months in every year that you'd make 3 mortgage payments. So accelerated biweekly essentially means that you are making 2 extra biweekly mortgage payments a year. What I would say is take the extra money, put it against your mortgage, and then re-borrow against your house for a down payment, because then
you get to write off that mortgage interest on your house.
Correct.
If you borrow it. So pay off your house, refinance the house, buy real estate with it.
Yes.
So now the mortgage payment on your house is tax deductible.
Yes.
There has been a high immigration in the last 5-10 years in this country. A lot of them don't have houses.
Till all the equity comes
and the
out.
banks won't release any funds unless they have that agreement from the lawyer's office saying that you guys agreed on your separation and the amounts of money there are. Listen to this episode. Hello, everyone. This is Rob Golfi with REMAX, the Golfi team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show, Niagara Edition, with host Stephanie Vivier.
Well, thank you so much, Rob. It's always great to have you here on the show, and I'm excited. We have a great time, Rob. We have so many laughs, and we get into some really interesting conversation. But today, you've brought a special guest for us, Brian Hogben from Mission 35 Mortgages. Brian, thanks for joining us on the show today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Stephanie, and always a pleasure to be here.
I wonder, Brian, if you get this call, you said you got a ton of calls this week. Should I overpay my mortgage, like try to get it paid down more quickly?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one that we used to get a lot. I have to be honest, with interest rates being so high, I haven't had a lot of people call and say, hey, I've got a couple extra $1,000 that I want to throw down onto my mortgage. But I would say that, number one, if you can change your payment schedule to biweekly or weekly, it's probably the easiest way to put more money on your mortgage, right? And a good mortgage advisor should be educating you on this. And I'm saying, like, listen, there's a difference between monthly and biweekly. Now, accelerated biweekly versus just biweekly is huge. It's going to be about 4 years on a 25-year mortgage. It can save you 4 years just by paying it every 2 weeks. So you know what? If you can make extra payments on your mortgage, hallelujah. I think it's great. I think if you're making extra payments on an investment property, that's good debt, in my opinion. Don't need to do that. But your primary residence, I think it's a great option.
Yeah, most investors usually just go with the monthly program and just let it ride out. And because they want to make their mortgage payments. If they can get a 30 or 40-year mortgage, they would take it.
Yeah, 100%. Take a 50-year mortgage if they could on those ones, right?
No kidding.
But I think, a little hack that we used to do as well too is, because I do think it's good to have both. If you end up doing an RSP contribution, and if that's part of your tax strategy, you put some money into your registered retirement savings plan, and then whatever refund you get, instead of going to Cabo St. Lucas or going on a vacation, put it on your mortgage, or put half of it on your mortgage. So that way you can get a little bit of money in your RSP, and then you can pay a little bit money down too. Because it's really tough to say what investment vehicle is going to perform the best over the long period of time. So it's just, for most Canadians, that's a good way to diversify your money.
Okay, you said accelerated biweekly. What does that mean?
It means you got your foot on the gas and it's going fast.
But is that different from?
No, it adds how many more payments to the year?
Yeah, so I think about it this way. Accelerated biweekly is, I remember when I got paid every 2 weeks, there's 2 months in every year where I would get 3 paychecks, right? So then there'd be 2 months in every year that you'd make 3 mortgage payments. So accelerated biweekly essentially means that you are making 2 extra biweekly mortgage payments a year.
And then that really takes things down. You also mentioned investors. So then my other question would be, if we do have this like little extra money that's coming in every month, but like you said, not a lot of people in that position right now, but let's say you are, you got that extra money. Are you better to maybe take it, squirrel it away, and then get an investment property?
Well, if you can, I think it'll take you a long time to build it up. But I think what I would end up saying is if you have a little bit of extra money, personally, because I know me and Rob are both kind of biased in the sense that we love real estate investment. I think it performs very, very well over the years. What I would say is take the extra money, put it against your mortgage, and then re-borrow against your house for a down payment, because then
you get to write off that mortgage interest on your house.
Correct.
If you borrow it. So pay off your house, refinance the house, buy real estate with it.
Yes.
So now the mortgage payment on your house is tax deductible.
Yes.
And when you sell it, you actually don't pay capital gains because it's your primary resident. And then you end up buying 3 or 4 other properties, and you will end up accumulating more wealth. Now, the one thing, I know there's people that like investing in stocks and mutual funds and all that kind of stuff. Now, if you've got $100,000 and you put it in a mutual fund, let's say it in 7 to 10 years, it doubles that 100,000, right? Great. The investment did good. Now you put $100,000 down on a house that you bought for like 600,000, right? Mm-hmm. Now that doubles in 10 years. So you've got the original 100,000 at 600. You bought it for 600,000. Now at doubled price of the house is 1.2 million. You just made 600,000 on top of the 100,000. So what do you think is the better investment? Obviously, it's the real estate, and people don't get that. That's how fast. That's why over 95% of wealthy people, millionaires, have made their money in real estate.
Mr. Golfi just explained to all of us the power of leverage. One of my favorite words. And it's true, right? Because, leverage is, having something really, really small lift up something really, really big. And you can't typically do that. The average investor can't do that with stocks and mutual funds.
No. And I always challenge this against my friend that is in investors group, IG. And
you put your portfolio against his portfolio.
It's like the Ferrari in the Volkswagen Bug. There's no way. It's like, no way, no challenge.
Yeah.
There you go. So.
All right. Well, I know a lot of people invested in Toronto, of course, Canada's biggest city, and we've seen real estate prices there long go exceptionally high. That was sort of the benchmark before other places caught on to it. But now buyers there, or sellers rather, are wondering if they should slash their prices. What do you think about this, Rob?
You know what? They have to, because they overpriced it, and the market's a little softer in the summer. And so if they need to move now, they're going to have to reduce the price, or otherwise wait like a lot of other people. There's a lot of houses sitting on the market. It's got 100 days on the market, 200 days on the market. There's a lot of those out there. Are they motivated? I don't know. I think maybe, like I was talking to Brian earlier, maybe they can't sell it any less because their mortgage is too high, and they need to sell it for that price. But I'm telling you, if your house hasn't sold in 30 days, because the market is still active, it's still moving, you are overpriced regardless, and you should adjust the price. I know that high-end homes right now, I wouldn't even put them on the market, just because, especially in Toronto, maybe not so much in Hamilton, Niagara. If you got a nice high-end home, people are looking. But in the GTA, a high-end home, they're a dime a dozen. There's so many for sale right now. I probably wouldn't even. It's probably not even worth selling it. But if you have to sell because your mortgage is massive on it, because you got a massive house, you just got to keep reducing it until somebody jumps in and buys it from you. But otherwise, if you need to move, and you just got to reduce the price. Your house hasn't sold in 30 days. You're overpriced. You got to adjust the price. And I know the market, because we sell a lot of homes. We know and we got a good inventory. We can tell if the market's quiet or not, because markets do change week by week. And sometimes I'll have a client say, "Hey, should we reduce the price?" I says, "No, not yet, because the market's quiet." And last year, there was a 3-month period towards the end of the year, the market was dormant. And I told people, just hang in there, just wait. It's going to turn around in the new year, and it did. Now, those other people that did reduce their houses with their clients and stuff like that, they just had to hang on for another 2 or 3 months, and they would have gotten their a price on their home. But sometimes you can't wait 2-3 months, and you have to sell it. But
do you think with the rate drop right now, we're going to see a lot more inventory come on the market, because people are like, "Ooh, rate drop." That psychologically, we're thinking there's going to be more people coming out, and then will we see more price drops too now with a rate drop?
I think there'll be a moderate inventory. People will be putting their house on the market. I had the phone call right away that same day that they reduced the interest rate, and he's saying, "What do you think?" And I says, "Well, it's not going to move the needle." But I mean, buyers are out there; they're watching and looking, and the interest rates dropped a 1/4 point. But I says, you don't know what's going to happen next year, so I don't want to give them advice. I give them the pros and cons on either side. You know what I mean? And if you wait and till the new year, to sell, or you sell now, I give him the pros and cons, and I let him make the decision. Because if I make the decision on letting them know, yes, sell it now, then the market goes up quite a bit. In
then
3
you
months.
lost me hundreds of thousands.
That's
of dollars.
right. So he's going to blame me. So I just say, here's the 2 different scenarios. Now you make the decision. And, you know, and it makes it easier that way, because otherwise, because I can't predict the market. The only, you know, I can't control the market. The only thing I can control in my business is control the marketing, but I can't control the market.
Oh, well put. That's a good line.
You like that one,
I
right?
do. I like
You
that.
should write that down and use that, Rob.
I'm writing it down.
It's pretty good.
Control the marketing.
Rob, you always talk about, you know, you're not a fortune teller, but you do have the experience, which allows you to lay those scenarios out for your buyers and your sellers as to what might happen. But one real estate broker has put out there what they think is going to happen in the next 10 years. Now, Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, but you think the market will double, because that's historically what it's done.
It will, and it will more than double. So here's what's happened. So we know there's we're talking about the transition of wealth that's happening, and that is happening, and that's been happening for quite a few years already, and that's what's, you know, keeping the economy going. Think about it. Baby boomers are the best savers. They didn't spend money, and there is a lot of money. What do they say? $1 trillion in Canada that is being
$2 trillion.
$2 trillion that is going to be passed down to the next generation. And that money, what happens with that money is it gets spent into the market, which drives the economy up. People are going to buy real estate, cottages, boats, car, everything. The money is going to be spent because the people that inherit it didn't work for it. It's easier for you to spend it. But that's what's going to drive the real estate market up with that inheritance. And it's happening right now, and it's happening aggressively each year as it's going, because that population is aging and dying. And
well, we're also seeing the living inheritance too, I think, where, you know, someone, because the average income for these people is low. Canada pension plan and old age security is not too high, but we're seeing people that they'll take out a reverse mortgage because they might have $1 million house with no mortgage on it. Yeah. Like 76% of these people are don't have a mortgage.
No. Oh,
right?
I know.
So then they end up taking out $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 out of their house, give it to the kids to buy a house, so they get to see them. And that, I think we're, to your point, Rob, a lot of this wealth is transferring already.
Yeah. And you know what? And a lot of these people have money in the bank. So, and they're transferring. Yeah, you're right. They're transferring while they're alive. They're bringing the money down, and it just kind of helps out with, you know, with the estate tax and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we're going to see a lot of money being passed down, a lot of people inheriting a lot of money, and that's going to drive the market.
Do you think that mindset's changing? I remember when I worked at the bank, I used to work at a bank, and I'd see people with all these, you know, the grandparents with all the money, and they're saying, you know, little Robbie's going to get $100,000 when I pass away. Yeah. And then I would always wonder myself and be like, why wouldn't you just give them some of that now? Like, if you don't need it, your living costs are covered. I know we see a little bit more of that stuff. Do you see any of that now, where more and more people are giving away some money to help the kids out sooner?
I think more European families are doing that. They're giving it to them while they're alive because they want to see them enjoy it. Yeah. And but I mean, it just depends on the mindset and the family that does it. But I think more.
Well, for all you millennials out there listening, hit record, send this to your grandparents, okay, and say, this is a really good idea that you should give me the money now.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
Just, and don't say Brian and Rob didn't do anything for you, okay?
Hey, Mom, hey, Dad, watch the Golfi Real Estate Show, Niagara Edition. Yeah, it's on, and they'll talk.
They have great advice on this.
Those are the experts.
They should be. Hey, they should always be on this show. This show needs to be top of mind all the time. Aren't there some advantages, though, guys, in terms of transferring that wealth before the inevitable end?
I think so. I don't think there's taxes because
there's no tax to give an adult children a gift, right? Like if you give anybody, like you want to give your kids money and they're over the 18 years of age, there's no tax there. Then it's taxed in their hands. Like if I give my daughter $200,000, I don't pay tax. She doesn't pay tax.
That's right.
But then whatever she does with it, if she invests it, then she pays tax.
That's right. Like, yeah. But otherwise, if she keeps that in the bank, that's her $200,000, all hers, whatever it is. She could take it out, do whatever she wants, buy whatever she wants. That's hers.
But you're right. When it comes down to if you die and it goes through an estate or probate tax, there can be heavy tax burdens on those. Yeah, absolutely.
I think the other advantage of that too is because I have some friends who are going through losing their parents recently, and there's a lot of grief, and people will cling on to different weird things when there's grief, and sometimes that can create a lot of tension in families, even if there's really clearly laid out wills. So I just think there might be advantages to you having your wishes carried out while you're still here, so that if anyone has any feelings about it, they can go to you. Whereas sometimes, that grief can turn into anger toward other siblings or other people who inherit. So I think there's advantages there.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of battles when parents die. The family sometimes they either get stronger or sometimes they separate, and it's tough. And and it's always to do with money. And there's always some one sibling taking care of the parent more than the other ones. They're not visiting, and then they convince the parent to change the will, and then that causes problems. And it causes a lot of problems after they pass away. Now you got legal battles and everything else. So it's just it is better to give it away while you're alive. Like, I mean, you'll have that satisfaction and feel like when you're dead, you're dead. You got no feelings. It's like sleeping for the rest of your life, right? So unless you know what I mean, you don't get to feel like the happiness of giving your inheritance, your money to your kids or your grandkids. So, but yeah, do it while you're alive. I think it's the best way.
True.
Well, we start by kind of reviewing the week. Rob, you want to kick us off with what's been happening in real estate this week? Big news as it comes to the interest rates. I don't know if that's affected you yet.
Well, sorry, I got Brian here to talk a little bit about the interest rates and everything. But I do want to say, though, was it last month they did a quarter-point drop, or was it 2 months? Yep. So last month they did a quarter-point drop. It did not even make a significant difference in the marketplace. It just... That was it. Yeah. Crickets. It just like, okay, what are they offering us? Nothing. So it didn't make a difference. This half point, I think, will definitely bring confidence into the marketplace, but I don't think it'll change the market that much. And the timing of them doing it in the summer is actually pretty good, so they can keep the inflation kind of stabilized a little bit still. Yeah,
I think a lot of people are away. A lot of people are, but everybody was interested. I was telling Rob earlier, we must have had over 100 phone calls yesterday saying, does this affect my mortgage, and how does it affect my mortgage? So many people very excited and interested on this. But to your point, Rob, I agree. I think a quarter point, what does that equate to? About $15 on 100,000 if you're on a variable rate mortgage. So if you had a $400,000 mortgage, let me count my fingers. That's 15, 30, $60 a month. That's going to save you. Yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Right. But does it really move the needle that much, to your point? Few more buyers, I think, will trickle in. That'll be like that. I think the really smart buyers are going to trickle in right now and see the writing on the wall. But I still think we've got another at least half a point to go come September, October before you really start to see the needle move, where people have extreme confidence to say, oh, yeah, 1 point difference. This makes a big difference for me.
So question, Brian, now, did that move that move the variable rate or move the post rate? Like,
great question.
What mortgage can somebody get a 5-year rate right now? What's the best rate they can get? Like, if I came to you and said, hey,
well, if you came to me, Rob,
if I just came,
you came, special rates for you, Rob.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Okay, there you go. So everybody out there is going to say, I want that Rob Golfi rate.
I want the Golfi rate. Yes.
Maybe we don't. I don't know, Brian. Maybe we don't.
Well, I guess that could go both ways.
Yeah,
true. Rob's application would be pretty hard to put together.
That's it. Rob doesn't read the fine print sometimes. Yeah. But so if I wanted a 5-year locked-in mortgage, what's the rate?
So if you're a first-time home buyer, and you're putting down less than 20%, it's called insured mortgage. You're looking at a 5-year fixed in the high 4s. So you could be at 4.69, 4.74 for a 5-year fix, which is a pretty darn good rate, right? You're looking in the 5s, 4.99. It really depends on the type of product that you get, but you're looking low 5s, high 4s right now for a 5-year fixed. And then the variable rate now, which just dropped down to, so it was at 7.2 is what they call the bank prime. That dropped down, a quarter and a quarter. So that's down to 6.7. You get a discount off of prime. You might be at as low as, say, a 5.8. 5.85 on a variable. Yeah. So you know what? These rates are pretty darn good when you look at it. But what ends up happening is, as the rates end up dropping, we talked about this too, affordability starts going up.
That's right.
But what ends up happening, the variable rate and the fixed rate do not move directly in correlation. So the Bank of Canada kind of looks like the Bank of Canada moves the variable rate. So if you were to look at the history of the variable rate, it kind of looks like a ladder. Goes up, it's like a step, and then it goes down, right? If you were to look at the 5-year fixed rate, it kind of looks like heart palpitations on a heart monitor. It's going up and down and up and down because those are based on the bond market. So they typically will move generally in the same direction, but they don't have the same inputs and factors. So, you know, with this quarter point decrease, we haven't seen fixed rates adjust. So great point.
Oh, that's really interesting. Brian, so, you know, you mentioned the smart buyers might be the ones jumping in. What are you suggesting right now? Because as you said, those variable rates might be in the high 5s. So we're like maybe 1% over what we would get with fixed. Are you going to be suggesting variables given that there is some speculation that we'll see a couple more rate drops later this year?
You know, I think it all comes down to goals, Stephanie, and that's what we talk about a lot too. You know, I say, do you like to go to the casino? If you like to go to the casino, then maybe the variable rate is for you, right? Because there is risk. We've seen rates go up. There's, you know, news events. There's other things that happen. It does seem like variable rate's going to go down. I think that if you can weather a storm and you have good cash flow and it's within your goals, I think a variable rate's a good option. Something to remember though too, because we've seen a lot of people take 2-year terms or 3-year fixed terms. A very good guideline to follow for fixed rates is when interest rates go down, penalties go up. When interest rates go down, penalties go up. So if you lock in at a 3-year term today, and let's say that 3-year term is 5.7, or just for example, or 6%, and a year from now, we actually see a 1-point drop, and you're like, oh man, I want to take advantage of that. You're going to have a high penalty. So, but with a variable rate, typically you only have a 3-month interest penalty. So, you know, to convert from a variable rate to a fixed rate, very easy, low cost, no fuss, no muss. But if you're trying to hedge your bet and you take a 5-year fixed today or a 3-year fixed and you want to break it within that time frame, you're going to have a whack of a penalty in a short period of time because with the interest rates dropping.
Now, as interest rates are dropping, people getting out of their mortgages, they're going to be paying big, and banks make a fortune. I mean, they already make a fortune.
They do okay.
They do all right with the penalties. I remember years ago when I had the 10, 12, 13% mortgages in the 90s. Oh, boy. Talking about those were brutal. You know what I mean? Like, if you think the mortgage interest rates are brutal now, you should have lived through that time. But the one thing I do know, though, and I am getting calls saying, when should I sell? Should I hold on? And everything. And just like Brian says, you don't know. Like, I have a guy who wants to sell his house, but he's thinking maybe I can get more money if I wait till next year. And he might get more money, but he has to carry it, and he's got to insure it, and the cost of insuring an empty house is more expensive than just a regular insurance. Now, and I don't want to go off subject right now, but just to let everybody know, if you got a vacant house and you own it and you don't tell your insurance company, if that house burns down, guess what? They will not insure you because your contract does say that it is an occupied house. And you can't say, well, my mail goes there. You can't say I check it every once a day. They will not you will not get covered.
It's same if you rent it. If you rent it and saying it's a principal residence and you rent it out and those tenants burn it down.
You better. So good to be. And guess what? I never thought I'd ever have a house burned down. I had one of my tenants' house burned down, and I was covered 100%. It was taken care of. Tenant had tenant insurance. It was his fault. He had a grease fire, and he fell asleep on the couch. Thank God the smoke detectors were working, and he went out. I got a new house out of it, and that's it.
Did you keep it, rebuild it, or did it?
Yeah. I sold it after. I said, "This is prime." I go, "The house is looking its best. It's looking its best."
Time for me to cash out of this address.
I said,
"Well, I might as well make lemonades when life lands you lemons, right?"
Yeah, that's it. I said, I better cash out now. This is the best it's ever going to look. But back on track. But people, are you got to be careful. You roll the dice if you want to wait 6 months to a year to sell. Like I said, I had a guy, should I rent it? And I go, yeah, but maybe you might not get the tenant out after, or maybe you might have a couple of big dogs that destroy the house. Then you have to put another 50 to 100,000 to fix it. Like it's the house is worth probably about 1.4 to 1.6, somewhere in that range. I don't know if I would want to rent a house in that price point, because you know what? It just it's just like he is trying to play the thing. Just put it up for sale, sell it, and move into his other house. I
think so. And too many people try to play the upside versus downside, and they're playing the game. But really, at the end of the day, if I'm an HVAC guy, let me make money doing HVAC. Yeah. If I'm a plumber, let me be a plumber. And I can make more money doing my business. Yeah. And then and I get it. Real estate's a big ticket item, right? Yeah. And I think, sometimes there could be 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 that we think is on the table. Yeah. But it's not. No. You don't know.
You don't know. Risk, right? There could be a big a situation happen worldwide, or it could be a natural disaster that's happening that causes everything just to make the real estate market go down. So, I mean, if you can sell it now, sell it. Yes, if you hang on to it, if you want to rent it, but if you're trying to play the market, you got to be very careful with that. You're playing Russian roulette a little bit on that.
World events, I think, the whole whatever happened after COVID with prices just going absolutely bananas really distorted people's views. You've always had people who really want to try to play the market and, get an extra $10,000 or $20,000. But during that time, we were literally seeing that $100,000, $200,000. And so I think it's going to take a while. Or, what are you guys' views on that? Like, for that normalcy to set back into our minds?
Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I was just going to say, there's an article that got put out by Canada Mortgage and Housing, and I don't know if it's normal, but I think we're going to see swings in real estate based on inputs and outputs and market conditions. And when we look at rates going down, that's a big pendulum swing for real estate prices. And CMHC ended up predicting that we're going to see the peak of real estate prices again within probably 2 to 3 years from 2021 and 2022. That is a massive increase in prices over the next 2 years because there's lots of fence sitters. So I think, I don't know what is normal these days, to be honest. It's almost like abnormal is normal.
So I just want to give you an indication. From 1960 till this day, we're talking, that's what, 70 years, 80 years? 70 years. 60, 74. So anyway,
64. Sorry, I usually use a calculator, guys. Okay, let's be honest.
I know. So house prices doubled every 10 years since then, except one decade, and that was the 90s. The 90s, it basically flatlined through the whole thing. There was a spike and then a drop, but it flatlined for that whole decade. So then now, it's going to be less than 10 years for house prices to double. I do predict, I should keep this clip, but I do predict that 2026 and 27 it's going to be a repeat of 2021 and 2022. I think house prices are going to rise like crazy during that time, and I think if you want to hang on to a house then in 2026 or 27, remember, if you sell it, then you're buying a house, if that's the indicator. But if you're moving into a retirement home, that's the time to move into a retirement home, because that's going to help you carry you and your expenses for your retirement home. I truly believe that. And but it is hard to gauge. But there has been a high immigration in the last 5-10 years in this country. A lot of them don't have houses. We know immigrants, they're the better savers than the regular Canadians that are here, and they save in groups and they're going to move in 5-10 in the house until they pay it off and they go on to the next house. So I do feel real estate values are going to go up, and I do feel that if you're going to buy, you better buy something now, and you'll be appreciative, and you'll think in 2 years from now, you're going to look back and say, wow, look at how much the difference housing prices have gone up, and it'll seem cheap at the time, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, that what you bought today. 2017, I remember there was a boom there, and then we never thought house prices would ever catch up to that level again, and it did fairly quick, less than 7 years, 5 years or something like that.
Well, and I think that's it. I think the COVID and all that, those times, people were making a lot of money in a short period of time, and people were trying to think, they were setting expectations of making a whole bunch of money in a short period of time. But you know, any generation you go to, owning a home is a long-term investment. So I think the mindset just needs to go back to like, listen, this is a 10-year time horizon. I'm going to own this home for 10 years. I'm going to pay off a whole bunch of debt within 10 years because I'm going to pay my mortgage, and the price is going to go up reasonably, or if not double in 10 years. So my wealth is going to be good. Just don't look at it for 1 year, 2 years.
Welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show, Niagara Edition. I'm your host, Steph Vivier. Rob Golfi is here having a blast. We have sometimes a little more fun off air than we do on air, but we try to bring the fun here too. Special guest Brian Hogben is with us from Mission 35 Mortgages. Guys, you have to break this story down for me. A husband sued a wife over real estate. What went down?
Okay, so in a recent case, a separated couple in Ontario faced a common dilemma. What to do with their jointly owned home when couples separate? Well, they typically have two options regarding their home. One spouse can buy out the other's interest, or the home can be sold on the open market. However, in Ontario, a spouse cannot force a buyout unless both parties agree. Okay, so in this case, the wife continued living in the home with her children after the separation, while the husband made a lowball offer to purchase the home, which we see it a lot in our industry.
Seriously?
I'm telling you, we see it a lot. And they call us,
honey, this place is a dump. It's only worth $250,000. Like, come on.
And maybe $275 if you'd cleaned it more.
That's. So anyway, so the purchase of the home, the husband wanted to purchase a lowball offer, the home for $650,000, which was rejected by the wife. The husband then took the matter to court, claiming his offer was fair market value and should be accepted. However, the judge ruled that the husband, like any other potential buyer, had to compete fairly in the bidding process without inside information. So the judge clarified that neither spouse was obligated to accept an offer below the home's fair market value. She ruled that the wife was justified in rejecting the husband's offer, which was significantly lower than the listing price they had agreed upon. The court directed that the home be listed for $750,000. Right, he offered originally $650,000, with a plan to reduce the price by $20,000 every 30 days until sold, allowing both spouses to make offers at the current price. The case highlights the legal complexities and emotional challenges couples face when dealing with property divisions during separation. The judge emphasized that the sale process should be fair, transparent, and focused on achieving a fair market value for the property. The judge ordered the husband to pay court costs to the wife in the amount of $5,000 in doing so. The judge found the husband's conduct to be unreasonable. According to the judge, the husband's hasty commencement of court proceedings and suspensions of listings delayed the sale of the home, unduly complicated matters, and unnecessary increased litigation costs for both. I've gone through this with different couples, and we had one couple. Listen to this story. We had one couple that were separating. We put it on the market. The husband put an offer in. He put a deposit down. He couldn't close, couldn't get the financing, so we had to resell it. And guess what? He lost that deposit.
Oh wow!
He lost it. Yeah. He lost because he was making the offer, and he lost that deposit, and he also had to pay us too.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he did. Yeah, because we put all this effort and work and advertising and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, it ends up reselling, and we do
you find most people will, like in those marital breakdowns, do you find most people will put the house up for sale, or do you find one person tries to buy
one person tries to buy the other one out? But you got to understand, a bank will not lend money to anybody unless they have a separation agreement. Because they don't know who has to pay what. They need to have that separation agreement, and before they even put an offer on a house. And sometimes people think, well, I got enough money, I should be able to get a mortgage. It doesn't happen that way.
You know what? Thanks for saying that, Rob, because it's true. Very very often we get people coming in saying, how much will I, if I break up with my spouse, how much will I get proof for? Well, how much are you going to pay?
Wait. Brian, they're just coming. Do the spouse know they're coming to visit you?
You would be surprised how many calls that we get where it's like, listen, it was a bad weekend. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just curious, could I buy out,
we get the same thing. We get the same thing. I get the calls on Saturday mornings. My husband didn't get home till 6 o'clock this morning. How much is my house worth?
Yeah, it does. We do get some emotional reach out. Oh, I got a text at 2 a.m. for a pre-approval. Okay, wow.
Yeah, there's you know what, we do get calls from spouses, one or the other. Sometimes they just want a general idea what the house is worth and everything like that. So they're wondering, should I stay or should I go now?
I think it's an honest conversation because people are wondering, right? Because it is really hard for one spouse to buy out the other spouse right now with qualifying. Like people joining together are barely qualifying for what they want to get, right? Using two incomes. So you take one income away, it's pretty hard to qualify on your own, right?
It is. It is. And a lot of times they end up renting, depending on their financial situation, they both end up paying rent different places, and their lifestyle totally changes too. Their lifestyle downgrades quite a bit.
This is why, if you're just getting started, getting a relationship, you should buy a duplex. Because then if it doesn't work out, you guys can each live on the floor.
There you go.
Right?
One lives upstairs, one lives downstairs.
Brian, take us through the process of, how it actually works if people are separated. Do they have to wait until they're divorced to get their own mortgage? How do the lending institutions look at someone because they're already attached to one home? Does that one have to be sold before they can get approved? How does it all work? What's the best case scenario? Great
question. So, what a lot of people don't know is that it's almost like buying a home. So if I'm buying out my spouse, you can put down as little as 5%. If it's under 500,000, you can even buy them out for 10%, like putting down as little as 10%. Yeah. So you can get the maximum amount of equity out to pay out your partner. And to Rob's point, the one big thing is, what we can do pre-approvals. It's just like buying a house without a purchase and sale agreement. We have a roundabout number as to what you're going to purchase for or buy out your spouse for. We run the numbers for it, but the big, huge, massive variable is the support payment, kids payment, alimony payment, whatever that is, right? Because, if someone's paying $2,000 a month or $4,000 a month, as you can imagine, that's a world of difference in mortgage approval. Mm-hmm. And we can't just guess. We have to, we can run a number and say, yeah, I think I'm going to be paying Rob or Joe or Bob $3,000 a month. If that's the case, this is what your approval is going to look like, but we cannot finalize it. And to Rob's point, you must have the divorce agreement, separation agreement finalized, because that's also going to have to be in the lawyer's hand on closing day because they won't sign off until all the equity comes out.
And the banks won't release any funds unless they have that agreement from the lawyer's office saying that you guys agreed on your separation and the amounts of money there are. And believe me, a lot of times, a person thinks they can afford it, they're making good money, but they don't realize they're going to have to pay $2,000-$3,000 to their spouse for child support and also alimony. Yeah, it could be quite a bit. So if you're planning on leaving your partner, better double check and don't just go out and buy a house, because we've seen a couple of people put offers in on houses and lose their deposit. Yeah, and because they didn't do the research and find out to see if they can qualify without a separation agreement.
And all joking aside, I think it is a prudent phone call, right? Yeah. We joke about it a bit, but it's at the end of the day, we are like a doctor. We write it down on the chart. We're not sharing it with anybody, but it's good for you to know that information and say, listen, you may think that you can qualify for this, but you're actually qualified for that. Yeah. And if you think that you're going to be receiving X or paying Y, this is what it looks like. So, and I think the reality is that probably goes into a lot of people's decision making when they're doing these things. Yeah. So it's good to know. And I think a good mortgage agent broker will be able to go through those steps with you, so you're armed with the information you need.
Well, a lot of people want to get out of the situation. If the marriage is broken down, it makes sense. Okay, I got to get a new house, right? That's the first thing that they think about doing. They may not realize what is all entailed in that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, absolutely. Very, very true. Or you just talk to Rob and sell it.
That's it.
Right? Say, how much is this worth?
Give us a call and we'll put it up for sale. And we deal with all different situations all the time. And it's hard to tell, but But you got to be very, very careful. Don't put your name on a contract until you know exactly.
And I think because you guys deal with divorce a lot, I
Yeah.
think it goes to deal with a professional real estate agent is key, right? Because those can be highly emotional situations.
Yeah.
You got two people sitting at a dinner table that aren't talking. To have someone that has the competence and the confidence to have those discussions is necessary.
There's
Well,
a lot of mediation that's required.
Yeah.
for sure. And you know what? You know what really messes people up is when they sell their house privately, and you have somebody that's going through a divorce, doesn't have a separation agreement, making an offer on your house privately. He's thinking that he has no problems because he's, doing well and everything like that. And then on closing date, it doesn't close. And meanwhile, that person that sold that house to that person has put an offer on another house and closing on that other house.
Right.
Happens a lot. But with a realtor, we will ask the questions. We will, find out. You talk to a mortgage person. Have you, what's going on? We are trained to find information to make sure that they qualify for what they're doing.
That's a really emotional time, and you need professionals to walk you through it.
And what my dad used to always tell me, when emotions are high, intelligence is low.
That's a good one.
Oh, that's great.
I like
That's
that
good.
one.
I know.
Learning a
We got
lot
the
on this
marketing
show.
one from Rob. Now Brian. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I wanted to cut this up. These are some golds, guy.
Yeah.
A lot of gold. A lot of gold in this one.
Gold, Jerry, gold.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's it.
Just a few years ago, Rob, you were a young, excited 19-year-old entrepreneur, and you've got a fun story about a 19-year-old real estate out there pounding the pavement. I bet you'd like to get this guy on your team.
Yeah, like he's just going crazy on TikTok. He's gone viral. What he's doing, he's running around doing all sorts of things, showing houses off and everything, and people are liking it. And I don't know how much business he's doing, but definitely he's gotten the attention of a lot of people out there in Canada, United States, and that's what I guess that's what it's taken. He's a young guy. He has no problem, showing him running around. That's how he's showing the house. He's doing it.
Like running
through the house, and doing different funny things through the house, and this guy's going viral, and but you know what? I mean, there's so many different things out there we see that people are trying to get noticed. We're talking about get their house noticed.
Yeah.
Agents are doing all different things. They're jumping in the pool. They're hot, like with their suits on and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, if that's what people want to see, but the thing is, showcasing the house is the most important thing if you're selling a house. But he's grabbed attention. People are looking at the house. I don't know if he's selling them, but he's actually made an impact on the social media circuit.
Well, social media is important now too, because I think I don't know what the stats are, but how many people actually go to realestate.ca to look at a house? Like if you're actively looking, you'll be on, like, remember MLS? And
Actually, realtor.ca, yeah.
But if not, like, if I'm just scrolling and I see a video and I'm not really looking for a house, but I've been in my house for, say, 10 years, that is a way to sort of be like, oh, wow, that is a cool house.
Yeah. No, actually, just because you brought realtor.ca, in our numbers, we were comparing our numbers with realtor.ca. We beat realtor.ca in people in the town of Grimsby.
Wow.
Yeah, more people looked for our listings in Grimsby than realtor.ca.
Wow.
And we were so proud about that.
That's awesome.
Took the champagne out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's like, what, to beat realtor.ca is tough.
Yeah.
So that showed our impact in the market when we were looking at it. And we compare every market, from the Niagara, with all the cities in Niagara, in the Hamilton Wentworth area, Lincoln area, Burlington and Brantford. We look at realtor.ca and see how close we are with them. But we did beat realtor.ca in Grimsby and showings.
And that just goes to show that's double the exposure then too, right?
Well, it is. Absolutely.
Congratulations. That's incredible.
Thank you.
These speed tours, they are fun. Some of them have popped up in my feed, but to your point, Rob, not in my market. Like, it's not a place that I would be buying. And I think these little stunts are fun, jumping in the pool and all of that kind of stuff. But what really matters is somebody who actually knows what they're doing. So it's like, okay, you can jump in the pool. Don't come and sit in my dining room with your wetsuit afterwards. But like, how are you going to take care of me and make sure that, not only is this process smooth and legal, and, you've highlighted some of those disaster scenarios where you think you've got it sold and then somebody has to back out, but also, of course, maximizing the amount of money you can get for your home at any given time.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know what? Like, he's definitely, his experience would not be there. Hopefully he's got like a mentor that would be able to help him through that. And because definitely, if I had a $1 million, $2 million house, you know what, that guy doesn't have enough life experience to actually, if he had to negotiate against a guy like
well, you'd hire him
team
for marketing, but I'm not hiring you to sell my home.
That's right.
Like, it'd almost be like you want the all-in-one.
That's right. So if I was negotiating this against this guy, he doesn't have a chance.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like, he would not know what's coming at him unless he had.
And you can end up in a lot of legal trouble. Like, you get the wrong thing in a contract, the wrong thing that you agreed to. Before you know it, you've agreed to something that you had no idea you did.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to be very careful.
All right, so we might see Rob running through houses giving you speed tours sometime soon, but the most important and easy way to get him is to check out robgolfi.com, and you can give them a call at 905-641-0308. Speaking of speed, the show has completely flown by. Great to have you with us, Brian. Brian Hogben from Mission 35 Mortgages. Brian, how can we get a hold of you?
Check us out on mission35mortgages.com, or you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Mission 35 Mortgages, and reach out. We'd be happy to help.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys both so much. Thank you for listening. This has been the Golfi Real Estate Show, Niagara Edition. This is News Talk 610 CKTB.
Yeah, picking the wrong realtor, that'd be a big mistake. That cost me money.
Hi, Rob here, and hey, we get it. We get that the right realtor makes all the difference. My advice, talk to 3 realtors, including one from the Golfi team. Compare and you'll see no one gets results like Golfi because of the millions we invest in marketing, getting you the most money in the least amount of time.
The Golfi team, Golfi gets it sold.
Pick the right realtor. Just Google Golfi.